All right, hello and welcome everyone. Going to be taking a minute here to look through the student version or the student edition for our Into Literature program, grades 6 through 12. And right off the bat on the front, you can tell that we're looking at the consumable because I have the 3-hole punch. If I'm tearing pages out, students can keep these in a binder. Also, you see the sticker that it is available in a hardcover format. Again, to kind of support whether or not a school wants to keep a covered version inside of the classroom, maybe have the students just using the digital platform at home. This gives you and your school many different options. Now, if I look at the binding of the book, you can see that this is a grade 8. Also, on the back cover, you have all of the different units that make up that particular grade level. Now, first thing I want to just kind of showcase and mention in the front matter, you have the full table of contents for each of the units, each of the themes in which you're going to be working in. In the teacher's edition, I talk about the essential question, the 3 distinct student sections, the I do, we do, and you do, with the analyze and apply, collaborate and compare, and then the independent reading portion. But in the front matter, you have all 6 of your units, again, so both you and your students can take a look at the upcoming school year and the stories that they're going to be reading and discussing with their classmates. Another piece that we always like to point out in the front matter are the studios that we offer around reading, writing, speaking and listening, grammar, and vocabulary. This is a great place for students to start the school year, right? This way, before we even dive into any of the texts, our students know that support is right at their fingertips in all of these areas. Okay, again, this is front matter 22 and front matter 23. And if I go one more page with the front matter, the last thing that I always like to point out to teachers is the introduction to Notice and Note, and then our 2 contributing authors, Dr. Kylene Beers and Dr. Robert Probst. Now, right off the bat, you can kind of see the underlining, the jotting notes in the margins, the little illustrations that they are encouraging students to use as they go through and annotate. Okay, you even have an introduction to the different signposts for fiction and nonfiction, what we might choose to do inside of our student notebooks. But again, almost like an activity to kind of kick off the introduction to Notice and Note. Okay, so now that we're inside of our first unit, or we're past our front matter inside of the student text, just kind of want to walk you through what you and your students will see as supports inside of each unit. So again, on our unit opener, we have a nice picture, a title, our essential question, and even a quote that again is going to guide our students throughout all of the readings that they're going to do inside of this particular unit, Gadgets and Glitches. You see the academic vocabulary, okay, and a call out to the response log that students are going to use to take notes throughout all of the different stories that they're reading and helping them to answer or address the essential question. They have the ability, by the way, to download and print these online or even just work on the response logs virtually, as well as handwriting their answers as well. Now, as I start to turn here, we said we were going to get a little bit deeper into Notice and Note. So you'll notice that the reading model that we're using here uses the story, The Brave Little Toaster. And if I turn the page just for a moment, students are actually going to be reading from The Brave Little Toaster. But what we do at the beginning of each of our units is we walk students through the different signposts that they're going to be using in this particular unit. So again and again, contrasts and contradictions, and aha moments. Those are the three that we're introducing. We're going to have students practicing, but we're going to use the same text that they're going to be reading in just a moment to introduce these things. Okay, notice that you see annotation models, right? So once again, we're guiding students through what that looks like. Okay, you see the anchor questions for each of those signposts outlined as well. Last, I'll call your attention to, and you're going to see icons like the one here in the top left for all of those different studios that you saw in the front matter just a moment ago. We are constantly going to point out to you as the teacher and to your students where we have a resource inside of the studios that might help and support the students. If I turn the page, okay, obviously inside of the consumable text, students can start to place their work right in any of the graphic organizers. They can do all of their highlighting, underlining in the text as they go, answering critical vocabulary questions. Okay, all of that work can be done inside of the text. Now, I do also want to point out that you have terms pointed out in the margin. You also have your callouts for your notice and note, okay, and additional spaces for students to write down different notes or questions that they might have as they're reading. When you reach the end of a text, we're always going to give students a moment to stop and analyze the text that they've been reading and check a little bit for their understanding. So you see 3 multiple choice questions here. If I turn the page, you'll also see that there is the opportunity to do some some writing responses to answer questions with using text evidence. Okay, you'll also see opportunities for students to write a summary, opportunities for them to meet up with a partner or do some small group, have some conversation around the text, around the notice and note protocols that they've learned about and that they've seen now. And again, last but not least, those icons in the margin. If a student feels that they need some additional support, they know that they can visit the studios for that. The last piece you see here is a response to the essential question. Once we've gone through, we've picked and chosen which of these culminating activities for each of the texts that we're going to have our students participate in, we certainly want them to gather their thoughts, put it down onto that response log before moving on to the very next text. Okay. And if I go a couple pages more here, you'll see that I'm into the next text, which is Our Bionic Superhumans on the Horizon. Okay, a reminder of what that essential question is. And once again, we jump into outlining for them what are the goals for the reading. Now, this actual title, Our Bionic Superhumans on the Horizon, is going to come up in just a moment when we talk about the writing, because this is actually the mentor text that our students will be using when they go to produce a piece of writing. So you're pretty much going to continue down the path of repeating the same things that I've shown you over and over again. Here we are on page 16 and 17 of the student text. I'm going to jump all the way to page 62. So realize that I'm skipping several stories that make up Unit 1 because we're really just going to, as I said, repeat a lot of the features that I've shown you in previous videos. What I'd like to do is call your attention to this red banner pages here, which is your independent reading. Okay, Students are going to be pointed to a selection of texts that are found on the digital platform. Okay. They see a little write-up about each, the title, the author, how these titles kind of relate again to the unit in which they're reading. And we also point out for them all of the different signposts that potentially could be used when we're talking and giving them this choice for reading. Okay. If I turn one page more, I am into my writing task for the unit. We are writing an informational essay. And as I stated before, remember that their mentor text that they're being referred back to is Our Bionic Superhumans on the Horizon. Every time your students have a writing task for the end of a unit, there will be at least one mentor text that they've read prior to getting started. Okay, and again, we do that so our students can refer back to what that author did well and how they can replicate it in their own personal writing. You'll see checklists, you'll see graphic organizers. Again, you'll see call outs to the different studios to support the students in their writing. You'll see things like revision guides, helping them to make edits, and then different options for publishing and or sharing out their writing piece. At the conclusion of the writing, you'll see different ways to score with a rubric. If you are looking for some project-based learning options and opportunity, you'll find those, at the conclusion of the writing task. And before you know it, you'll be into the next unit, and pretty much everything that I've taken you through will repeat itself again. The vocabulary, the notice and notes, signposts that you'll be using, so on and so forth. Be sure to check out our other videos on YouTube, our Back to School website as well for more support.
Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the HMH International Content Cares YouTube channel. If you're looking for more content, click on the video to the right of your screen. Welcome to our global community.